Good morning. It's definitely the best way to start your morning. Better yet, to start off your week. I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. We'll be focusing on stories that have made headlines in the last 24 hours. And Manchester United fans, as well as Liverpool fans, those that never walk alone, indeed, were walking together this weekend. We're talking about Manchester United losing to Tottenham, while Liverpool, who are the defending champs, losing to Aston Villa. We are talking about a 6 and a 7 therein. And also in the sporting arena, we had Vincent Kipchumba just saving Kenya's blushes there when he finished second in the London Marathon after the defending champion, that is Eliud Kipchoge, finished 8th. But that notwithstanding, we had Bridget Koskei, who won the women's London Marathon there, doing Kenyans proud. But now talking about what we're not proud of is that Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai ordered the arrest of MPs Alice Wahome as well as Ndindi Nyoro for mobilizing the Keno violence. That is going to be coming up in not too long in the headlines. Good morning once again.
Ameisema yote sasa nitasema nini? Like she's literally said it all. That's Regina for you, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Samuel Njoroge. Karibu sana to the program. This is the only way to start your day. Good morning, Kenya, it is. And from my end of things,
as Jane would say,
you need to stop. And from my end of things, we'll be delving into politics, getting to understand what's happening with wheelbarrows. Muranga, what was that yesterday? What's happening, people? What's going on, right? We'll be talking about that during Eye on Politics right here on this show. It's the 5th of October, so technically, if what Magoha said is anything to go by, universities and tertiary institutions are supposed to resume learning today. But are we ready? Honestly, are we? Is the infrastructure right? Are we risking with a curve just when the president eased on the restrictions? Could this be a means through which we could find ourselves losing heavily when it comes to COVID-19? Or are we actually safe and prepared to go back to class? Well, those are some of the conversations we'll be shedding light on right here on the show. Welcome to the program once again. And guess who's back? Ndorin is back.
I do not want to be part of that conversation, but hey, I'm back. And in this show, when you're back, there's nothing that we say you're back like we never left.
That's Ndorin for you.
All right, Jen, take it away. I'll finish it up.
Yo, welcome back, Ndi.
And you're still on it, girl.
We're glad to have you, man.
We need to stop. I mean,
ako ni kalastibon ketu.
Ndorin tuletea nini?
tunakaitanga Ndorin.
Nishawaambia, unataka niseme hapa kwa hewa?
Ndio
So that we hold you accountable.
AKA Vindu Vilai Vilai.
Oh my God, one boy, please just take it away. I'll finish.
We'll get back to that. I don't think we'll just let you off that easily. But yo, welcome once again. Good morning, Kenya here. The team is lit, as you can see. We're glad you are with us this morning. I am Jane Wamboi. Now, as Sam tries to help you and also him understand, if schools are really going to be opening today, and this is specific to tertiary institutions, today we're also celebrating World Teachers Day. Now, they are part of this conversation about the reopening of schools. I mean, they're going to be having such work once the schools reopen, just trying to make sure that the students are social distancing, they're putting on their masks and sanitizing when necessary. And this will be more, felt intensely once, the rest of the learners go back to school. But so today it's World Teachers Day. We're just going to be having some stakeholders joining us in studio to help us understand what this day is all about, trying to address the grievances that revolve around teachers, and more so looking at the fact that this is a day to appreciate, to assess, and to improve the educators' world. So we're going to be having that conversation. If you are a teacher, feel free to talk to us, because this day is all about celebrating you and you and you and you and you and you. Welcome once again to Good Morning Kenya. Doreen.
You noticed one boy.
Yes.
Now I was about to say today she didn't use a lot of those sign languages.
Leo nimetulia kidogo.
Leo at least no.
I don't know what's happening.
All right, so clearly, just from what my colleagues have mentioned, it is a fully packed Monday for you with all the day's conversations lined up. But even at that, we still shall be looking at what will be, happening in our roads in terms of traffic. And this Monday morning, we focus on Thika Superhighway. This is simply because at least you just want to check the progress of the installation of this footbridge around Garden City Mall and the one around Survey. Have they eased up the traffic congestion, given the fact that this is the reason as to why these bridges were installed? That is what we'll be looking at this morning. And given that Thika Superhighway is one of those busy roads, what that means is that we will definitely be looking at some good alternative routes for those plying that route going about their businesses this morning. Many thanks for making time. My name is Doreen Arange. All right, how about we look at that traffic this morning around Thika Superhighway? So let me just begin by showing you that image of what I was talking about earlier. This is the bridge actually around that area. This is the one around Survey area. Remember that sometime in, is it July or August, around there, also the area around Garden City was closed, at least to necessitate the installation of that bridge. So this is how this area is looking like. At least what you're seeing from this image is that this bridge is already complete, opened up to the public, and this is the third bridge to be installed along Thika Superhighway, given the fact that two others were also slated to be installed. This is the one around Witife, which was already installed and opened up to the public. The one around Mangu is about 70 to 75% complete. The one around Garden City is still, under reconstruction, but under installation rather, but it's also near completion. So this is the one around Garden City Survey area rather, and it's the latest one to be installed around this area. So how about we take a quick look at traffic, try to see if at all it's serving its purpose, because the main reason of the footbridge to be installed there is, first of all, to ease congestion, then two, to reduce the number of death cases, given the fact that Thika Superhighway is the second road in Nairobi to record high number of death cases, and this is after Mombasa Road. Now look at this in terms of traffic. Really looking so bad this early morning, and I'll just begin from Garden City Mall as you head over to the city center. Clearly this is one of those busy areas, and look at how it's looking like this morning. Traffic building up, not even building up, in fact on major areas around this specific place it is just at a standstill, not moving at all, and that has been clearly indicated by the maroon color there. On the other lane, as you're leaving the city center, as you head over to Garden City and all those estates enjoying to Thika Superhighway, on that specific lane moving pretty fast, and also on the slightly on the inner lane at least also moving at a really fast pace. So where there's just traffic building up and moving pretty slowly is actually as you leave the estates along Thika Superhighway and all those areas on the outskirts of Thika Road as you come all the way to the city center, and also on the areas enjoying to Thika Road. That is just where it's, in fact, it's not even building up, it is just at a standstill, which is highly unlikely, because oftentimes and this early morning hour, most of what we'll be spotting is traffic beginning to slightly build up. But clearly from what you're saying this early morning, it's either moving at a really slow pace, and even in some other areas not moving at all. Now, clearly you're seeing the reason as to why I was telling you this is why these bridges were also installed, at least reduced on the traffic flow. Now, if it's looking like this, and at least we have bridges on some parts of Thika Road, then you can imagine without the bridges how it will be looking like, because that will only mean that traffic police always have to stop these vehicles for pedestrians to cross over from one side of the road to the other side. But also, it's again very important for me to mention that at least Thika Road has 18 bridges, with these 4 that are now, had been earmarked, so at least trying to increase on the number of footbridges. But even as I'm looking at traffic this early morning, nothing is really changing at all. Just look at this. All the way from Garden City, coming all the way next to Drive-In as you head over to the city center, also next to the Thika Outer Ring Road overpass, moving really slowly in some parts, and even in other areas not moving at all, just at a standstill. So what I want us to do now is I'll just leave it at that. So in the next link-up segment, what this means is that I will definitely be looking at some good alternative routes for you, because clearly as of now the way it's looking like, it is not good at all. In fact, it is really unbearable. But that's how it's looking like this morning when it comes to traffic. Our focus this Monday is just specifically on Thika Superhighway.
The next next link-up segment, Theo. That's Doreen for you, and thank you so much for that update. It's time now to get in the headlines. I have a copy of the Star with me. You know what they say, smart people read the Star, okay? No wonder I'm holding on to it. Now, the headline reads, Kidero and Uhuru aid in rent row. That is the headline captured by the Star. And the figure here in question is 950,000. And Jomo now seeks order to stop eviction from apartment. And the PA to the president, that is Jomo Geshaga, says COVID outbreak has undermined his ability to pay. So will he or will he not? That is the story captured there by the Star on the front page. Also highlighted on the front page of the Star this morning, 2 die in Ruto Muranga church function. You know what happened yesterday in Muranga as the deputy president was touring the area to raise funds to aid in the construction of a church. Unfortunately, the preamble to that event was some skirmishes and chaos in Muranga, and 2 people actually died. And now that story there, you can see the picture where a man puts out a fire during the morning chaos at Kennel, Muranga County yesterday. We will be highlighting this particular story as we delve into Eye on Politics this Monday. And kickstarting reggae, or did it ever stop in the first place? We've got Raila Amolo Odinga now saying that the BBI report will be out within days. Okay? Remember, this is a document that the country has been waiting upon for the better part of this year, and now he promises that within days you will be having a copy of the BBI. What proposals will be captured therein? That is a topic that we shall delve into right here as we continue coverage on this developing story. Other highlights here, we've got an opinion piece from Zach Kenothia, who says, honor informal sector, for you to get a buzz within the economy. And also the teachers save Nyeri girls from selling sex for sanitary towels. It is a conversation that Jane has had on this particular show a couple of weeks ago. And thunder strikes 40 goats as banditry worsens in Baringo, as well as a hike regularly to boost mental health. Nyandarua youth now told. So that's the highlight for you. In as far as the Star is concerned, we will be delving into these and other stories as we continue reviewing this particular newspaper.
All right, let's now get to have a look at the front page of the Daily Nation. Let me start with the top right there. Still in regards to what is happening on the Star this morning, why Raila is upbeat. ODM leader says the BBI report will be out in just a matter of days. Again, going back to the question, what really is contained in this particular report, we will be giving you details of what has been captured in this daily in regards to that. Looking at the main story there on the front page of the Daily Nation, outrage as the fight takes a deadly turn. And this is what was happening yesterday in Muranga, where there has been a wide condemnation as the ruling party wars continue to spill over. And just to read for you what has been written here on the front page, police boss ordered the arrest of MPs Ndindi Nyoro and Alice Wahome over the violent protest that claimed the lives of 2 people ahead of the DP's visit to Kennel in Muranga. However, the DP still attended a church service and fundraiser and blamed his rivals in Jubilee, saying his State House journey is unstoppable. We'll be giving you details of how this particular story has been captured on the different dailies this morning. Still keeping up with the front page of the Daily Nation, at the bottom there, COVID-19 risks. Kenyans have thrown caution to the wind following the relaxing of some of the rules after the president's address, and now experts are saying there is a high risk of a second wave of infections as the surge continues to grow in counties, because you have been seeing more and more counties reporting more cases as the days go by. And finally, looking at the bottom of the front page of the Daily Nation, Kosgei reigns supreme, King Kipchoge's pain. Details of that coming up in a bit.
Now focusing on the Standard this morning, being the 5th of October 2020, this is how the front page looks like. The pride and shame of Kenya, now double face, as the start Kenyans chase for glory. Chaos rocked Muranga in a parallel race for ignominy. Yeah. Now, in the end, London win was fouled by a loss of 2 lives in political violence. And what will it take to stop this madness? This is a question that has been posed by the scribe on the Standard this morning in regard to what happened in Murang'a. Further on, captured there on that front page, we see Bridget Koskei, who maintained her win in the London Marathon, being the 40th edition, and Vincent Kipchumba there dried our tears as Kenyans there, as you know, the greatest of all time, Eliud Kipchoge there at that point finished 8th. He was the defending his title then. In a tweet, he said that at around 25 kilometers into the marathon, he lost hearing in his ears that really destabilized him, and he says he's also disappointed. But I tend to think we did rather well there. Then also a story that has been given prominence on the front page of the Standard this morning is that 2 weeks of teachers in school minus pupils. Yes, just as doors opened this morning for tertiary institutions there. After 6 months is at a Teachers' Day. On the global occasion, tutors, NAT demands a clear school calendar as Kenya ushers in second week without students in learning institutions. Yes, videos have gone viral on social media where we see teachers actually skipping and playing, with nothing to do because the students and pupils are still back at home. Now, state matters of business, matters of money, is that the state has printed 15 billion shillings in a week to plug hole. Now, staying afloat, the Treasury, whose finances have been negatively hit by coronavirus pandemic, have been forced to borrow from the domestic market and now a CBK overdraft. Does it mean that it has crowded the private sector? We'll be checking and giving details of that and so much more. And still talking about finances, is that Kenya leads peers as a dirty cash hub. We are actually ahead of Nigeria at position 24, while Nigeria comes in at position 34 in terms of illicit funds hub. Back page of the Standard also we have the king himself, King Eliud, cracks but unbowed. That and so much more coming up in detail in the headlines.
We need to talk about the fact that goals yesterday was scored anyway.
They're giving up like goodies, eh?
We need to talk about it. I think there needs to be a caveat on the number of goals you can actually score against a team.
Per game.
Some of these things are just humiliating. So humiliating. Hi. Poleni. Now, to die as chaos mark DP's Murang'a Church tour. That story is on page 4 of the Star today, and it goes ahead to talk about what has been rocking the Jubilee Party this far, and there has been a bid to oust the deputy president as the deputy party leader of Jubilee. And our pundits argue whether or not this is justified, and that is the angle that you will find on the Star on page 4. And those who are after the ouster of the deputy president include Team after Ruto's ouster, as illustrated by the Star, is the national chairperson, the secretary general, that is Raphael Tuju, the national treasurer, the organizing secretary, and 6 committee members named by the National Executive Committee of the Jubilee Party, as well as the executive director. And what are the accusations leveled against the DP, or what are they saying warrants ground to have him out of the Jubilee Party? He says, or they say, 1, he has allowed his allies to insult Mama Ngina Kenyatta, and also the whole situation around the Msambweni by-election candidate. They also say that he skipped President Kenyatta's COVID-19 conference, endless political rallies in defiance of the president, and holding meeting with 30 MPs at Pangani HQ on a day that the party leader was out of the country. And also this was argued as defiance and an attempted coup. But was it, in as far as the Jubilee Party is concerned? Now, these are some of the issues that we shall be delving in during Iron Politics, and you can see page 4 and 5 of the Star captures this story in earnest.
Now let's get to the Daily Nation and look at that particular story in regards to what Mr. Raila Odinga is saying. Prepare for for BBI, the referendum consequently. Now, the committee has finalized its work on the BBI and is only waiting to present this particular report. Now, looking at what the former premier had to say is that the BBI report is ready. In a matter of days, Uhuru and I will receive it. We will publicize it for everybody to read it. So I get surprised when I hear some people saying, rather some people opposing it, how do you oppose something that you have not yet seen? That is the question he posed to those who are anti-BBI. And this, he was saying this when he was speaking at the United Christian Ministries in Calvera, where he was hosted by Dagoretti North MP. And while the contents of the much hyped report remain a subject of so much speculation, it is said that it is expected to change the structure of the executive arm of the government, and Kenyans must now be open to a conversation on how to increase the national cake. He further went on to say that the baby has not been born, and the baby is a new constitution dispensation. Mr. Kamanda also endorsed Raila Odinga for the presidency come 2022, saying the country was ready for his leadership. And he further on went to say that we are not going to back BBI. BBI is the only solution Kenya has been waiting for, and time for the BBI is now. That is what at least some supporters who are pro-BBI are saying in regards to this as they await the publicizing of this particular report.
Now off to some encouraging news here is that Joy, as mother of 7, is admitted to top varsity. Yes. Now, Florence Muya, age 35, is to pursue a Bachelor of Science degree after scoring a mean grade of C+ in last year's KCSE. Here's her journey. Now, in 1999, Florence Muya sat for her KCPE and scored 483 marks out of a possible 700. In 2000, she got married after failing to join secondary school. Now, in 2016, those are 16 years later, she joined Form 1. Yeah, these are 17 years later after dropping out of school. Now, in 2019, that's the year she sat for her KCSE and scored a C+, having added 2 more children. This is a mother of 7. So when universities reopen their doors, which happens to be today, is that Muya, age 35, will be happily joining classmates barely out of their teens at JKUAT School of Communication and Development for a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Management and Development. She's quoted here saying that odd looks from villagers and fellow students could not deter me, and I have proven them wrong, and I have joined the top performers in my class. Now, more to that is that on Wednesday last week, Muya received a check of 30,000 towards the payment of her first year fees, whose total is 37,000. And she's quoted there once again saying, "I believe education is the only thing that will change my family's fortunes." She says her firstborn is in Form 1, while her lastborn is in grade 1. And she's going to be attending university at the age of 35. How about that? Mother of 7, admitted to top varsity. That's a matter, we don't need to quit. My issues of resilience. Yeah, quite encouraging there. All the best, Florence Muya.
That's quite an inspiring story. Very, very inspiring. And keep talking to us online. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1. On to some more positive news is that 65,000 children are expected to get final malaria vaccine dose in Feb, and the drive targets about 120,000 children in select hospitals in several counties. And that particular story is highlighted on page 10 of the Star, and it goes ahead to talk about how the journey has been when it comes to realization of the malaria vaccine, but most importantly, how it has been distributed case by case. And the CS here in charge of health talks about the vaccine now targeting children in Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, Busia, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, and Siaya counties. You would go ahead and ask, why these particular counties? It's because according to the World Health Organization, And studies that have been conducted also by the Ministry of Health, these particular counties present a particular risk when it comes to contracting malaria, and especially amongst children. And thus, it becomes critical to have this vaccine rolled out in those particular counties. 120,000 is the target. However, by Feb, the ministry anticipates that it will have gotten to over half of that figure, that is 65,000. And clinical trials of the malaria vaccine were conducted between 2009 and 2014 across a network of African research sites with promising results, leading to the introduction and use of the vaccine on the African continent to reduce malaria and malaria-related complications. So that story is on page 10 of the Star today. Right, Jane?
Absolutely, and just on the same breath on matters concerning health, we come to this particular story here on the Daily Nation. One of the stories on the front page in regards to COVID-19 and the fact that we risk a second wave of infections as the surge continues in counties and more so in rural counties. Now, the cases are decreasing in major urban centers while increasing in the rural setups. And according to what has been written in this particular story is that we are at risk at a second wave of infections just 6 days after the partial reopening of the economy, and the positive cases have dramatically increased, and more so in rural counties. And it's barely been a week after the president, eased some of these containment measures. And just looking at the test and how they have been done between the periods of September 29th to yesterday, there were a total of 1,259 cases of positive cases that have been recorded from a sample group of 22,000. And this is 223 higher than the previous sample group of 21,000 rather, 958. And out of that 21,000, there were about 1,036 positive cases. And that was between the periods of September 22nd up until the 27th of September. Now, speaking to the Daily Nation was the CEO of Amref Health Africa when he was saying the curve had only flattened in urban centers. And now the cases are declining in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kiambu, Kajiado, and Machakos. Unfortunately, the cases have now started to peak in rural counties, and thus affecting the positivity rate that we have been seeing in the recent past. And this is very evident because on Friday, Nakuru recorded the highest number of infections for that particular county in a 24-hour span, after returning with 75 patients who turned out positive against the previous day's 13 cases, edging out Nairobi and Mombasa. So now Dr. Gitahi went on to say that the reopening of the economy will increase infections, and we just have to be ready for a surge because it is we are slowly nearing that peak. And the most important thing for now is for counties to ensure that they have oxygen and enough intensive care units and beds, because Kenyans should now the responsibility falls on you and I as Kenyans, because the law can no longer enforce this for us. We have now to take the onus and try and put back in place these containment measures, as they again warn of a second surge of infections, which we are at a very high risk of, and more so in the rural counties.
Talking about containment measures, I don't know, and I'd wanted to know from you all. Sam, did you attend Mass yesterday? Did you go to church yesterday?
Wow.
It's a matter of yes or no. There's no wow. Did you? Or
yes,
did you not?
Yes, I did.
Jane, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. Now, the elderly are happy to be back in church.
Oh, okay.
Estate leaves bans. That's the story now. The elderly are happy to be back in church as state lifts ban. Now, senior citizens expressed gratitude and relief after they were allowed to access houses of prayer, with some saying that they are alive to praise and worship. Now, they had missed physically attending church, and the elderly could not, hide their joy, with some of them maintaining that their only purpose for living was to worship. Captured here on page 8 of the Standard is Mark Naigira, who is 84 years old and worships at a metro church in Nakuru County. He said that after retirement, he was left with no other job other than just attend church services on weekday evenings and Sunday mornings. He said staying away from the house of worship for over 6 months due to COVID-19 took away his purpose in life. Now, according to Reverend Mike Brown of Metro International Church, Nakuru, he says that Kenya is a religious nation and that is why it has been incorporated even in school syllabuses. He has over 200 elderly worshippers at his church and says service for the elderly will be reintroduced to enable them to worship again. Indeed, this comes at a time when the Ministry of Health is really maintaining that we need, in as much as we have opened up some of the areas, we need to continue upholding, matters of safety in as far as the COVID-19 pandemic. Matters of health protocols, we need to maintain that social distancing, sanitize, mask, maintain that social distance. So though at times on a spot check here, there's also a story on this page 8 of the Standard saying that there was no social distancing in most places of worship yesterday. Kenyans were excited to be back in areas of worship, just as what we witnessed on Tuesday and over the weekend with the reopening of bars. Now we come to a closing as far as In the Headlines is concerned, but we cannot fail to mention that indeed Bridget Keskei retains her London title, doing Kenyans proud, while Vincent Kipchumba finished second in the men's London Marathon. While we're talking about soccer, Arsenal actually won its match in the FA match with FA match is that now Manchester lost as well as Liverpool. Now it seems Manchester and Liverpool are working together. 7-6. It's a wrap. Let's take a break.
Say all kind of things about you.
With them all, just shake up. Need to mush you and done to mush you. When your booty gon' show me now.
Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180. Crazy.
Trago ya la botella. Let's go.
Ha. I needed some with some bop in it.
Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you.
Choro. Get the party more. Katoto shepu awe, ayawe. Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Please stop for me, please.
Your game is over, you assassin.
I am the one who decides what I should know and what I shouldn't. Only me.
We need this win, Wanjala. You have to win.
They are fearless, yet friendly.
I hope Paula machungu after ile game ya mwisho.
I'm allowed to be concerned about you, Wanjala. I'm your wife.
I will take good care of you. Fierce, yet fair.
Pa combo sasa. Pop. Toza kidogo. Pop.
Firm, yet faultless.
You embarrassed mom. All of us.
But it would be nice if someone would look out for me too.
You don't listen to me.
Because you always want to tell me how to...
Jemo unadu nini hapa?
You are embarrassing me.
Hii Nairobi mimi siwezani nayo.
Kona, Kenya's daily drama.
Taina train ya tona muhimu sana kwa life yangu. Kwa hivyo vile mimi nafanya hapa ni upuzi.
Naweza kukusaidia kujua ni akina nani?
Mimi siwezi chukua msaada kutoka kwa Saitani.
What is this?
It's a make or break chance.
Your fun, fabulous, full team of Kona. Every fine weekday, right here on KBC Channel 1.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
The baby you lost wasn't mine. I demand that you tell me the truth.
He said I'm not gonna eat anything unless my son comes here.
I quit. I'm leaving her now.
How could you let this happen? And what kind of a nurse are you anyway?
Then what do you want me to do?
We can't be away from each other since we love each other so strongly.
We need to talk. I really want to know why you lied to me. Huh?
I actually came to say goodbye. I'll be going to Greece.
El paraíso
In love with Ramon.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Good Morning Kenya. If you are just joining us, glad you are with us. I am Jane Wambo. You are right in time for the first discussion, and today is all about, or rather this particular discussion is all about our teachers. Now today being the 5th of October, we are marking the International Day for Teachers, or better yet, World Teachers Day, a day that is set aside to look at issues that revolve around teachers, appreciating them, re-evaluating where we are, and just looking how we can make our educators' world better as we strive to all just make ourselves comfortable in our different professions. And so if you are a teacher, we welcome you to be part of this conversation. We'd love to hear from you, the issues that you feel are near and dear to you as an educator, just trying to understand how we, the rest of the population, can help make our environment conducive for you as you go about delivering your mandate and your responsibility when it comes to educating our children. We welcome you to be part of this conversation using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle ever remains at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jane Wamboya across all the socials, and my colleagues, you can find them as Sam W. Njoroge, at Raymanyara, and at Doreen Arangi on Twitter as well. So right now we want to just dive straight into this particular conversation, and the theme for this year's World Teachers Day is teachers leading in crisis and reimagining the future. We have been thrown in a state of crisis with this pandemic, so we had to adjust to a new normal. But how has the education system evolved and adjusted, and more so our teachers who are now tasked with the responsibility to ensure that our students are safe even as we try to just reopen institutions. And of course that is what is expected today with the official date for the reopening of tertiary institutions. We just want to understand how we are reimagining the situation around educating our children, and more so how our teachers are going to be doing this. So joining us for this particular conversation via Zoom, we have with us Mrs. Glory Mutungi, who is the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions, as well as the chief principal at the Nairobi Technical Training Institute. Karibu sana, Glory.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for making time to be with us this morning. Now, let's just get straight into it. But we'd like to first try and understand what the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions mandate is when it comes to the delivery of education. Let's start there.
Thank you so much for that question. Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions is a professional body of all the TVET principals, both in private and public institutions. This is a body that brings us together to share our experiences so that we can make TVET what it is supposed to be for this country. Mm-hmm. One of our mandates is actually advocacy, so that We make the government understand what is happening on the ground, what is required, so that we can put our young people in the limelight, and so that achieve the vision that each one of them has for this country. Thank you.
All right. Now, you are mostly focusing when it comes to the technical training institutions in Kenya. And, looking at Kenya's history, we have been seeing a low intake when it comes to TVET courses here in Kenya. But looking at where we are as a country, how are we doing so far from your end of things when it comes to the uptake of TVET courses?
Yes, Jocelyn?
All right, let's just a few things here in regards to that. Now, she is the chair of the National Technical Training Institutions here in Kenya, and is also the principal at the National Training Teachers Institution here in Kenya. So we'll be joining her in a bit to just try and revisit that conversation, understanding where we are when it comes to the uptake of TVET courses here in Kenya. I mean, just last year there was this uproar on social media in regards to how we are taking up TVET courses, and so many people arguing that we are churning out half-baked graduates, people who are not in touch with the actual market and the actual industries, because we are more of theory in school, and when we come out to the job market, it's all about the practical. So you find they are thrown in a space where they do not really understand how to go about applying what they have been taught. So once again, you can talk to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We will be sampling your questions as we proceed on with this particular conversation. So just picking up from where we are, remember we have with us Mrs. Glory Mutungi, who once again is the principal of the Nairobi Technical Training Institute, and also doubles as the chair of the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions. So I believe she is back with us. All right, before we get to Mrs. Glory, we also have another guest with us, also joining us via Zoom. That is Jocelyn Calvera, who is a trainer at the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. Good morning, Jocelyn.
Good morning to you.
Welcome so much to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Now today is a day about celebrating teachers. What does this day mean to you as a trainer?
Okay, this is a great day for me as a trainer, as a teacher, and it recognizes me and makes me feel like somebody somewhere recognizes my efforts.
Yes.
I feel so much enlightened that somebody somewhere is recognizing the effort teachers are putting and the trainers are putting towards helping the young people visualize their potential and achieve their dreams.
Yes. All right. Now, looking at you as a trainer in a technical institute, maybe you could paint a picture for us how it is for you, given we have just, in the recent past, we have seen more and more conversation revolving around technical courses. How are things for you as a trainer in this particular courses?
Okay, as a trainer in the technical line, one thing is that it has been fulfilling to see the young people who would have been somehow lost, because there before people thought that life is about going to the university. Mm-hmm. So when I go to the technical institution and I see those people who had really strived so much to go for a degree, they come and they can realize that they can make it in life. It gives me a lot of fulfillment, because that gives me the message that nobody is getting wasted out there, and that nobody is losing their potential because they didn't go to the next level. Yes. So the technical education really brings my heart so much, because it is another channel to higher education and for the young people to realize their potential.
Now, in trying to just assess and understand the situation, looking at how, from your perspective of things, maybe you could paint a picture for us, the challenges that you as a trainer undergo when it comes to delivering your mandate in regard to this.
The main challenge we have is the issue of the facilities. Okay. Sometimes you may not have all what you need. Mm-hmm. And the other issue we have is some of the students will come there when their attitude is like, I am here because I didn't go to the university. So the first thing is we deal with the attitude of the learners once they arrive. We try to make them realize that they are here not because they are failures, but they are here because we need them as the Kenya. We need the technicians, we need the artisans. And then now the challenge of the facilities, sometimes the institution really wants to provide, they don't have the resources. Sometimes you really want to do maybe a certain practical, you want to demonstrate to the students something, and you don't have that. Those are some of the challenges we have. And the other challenge we have is that we want the learners to be a little bit innovative. And to be innovative, they must be in good laboratories, which we are lacking in quite a number of the institutions.
All right. And given we're in this pandemic, we were all thrown in a state of confusion, and, we thus had to adjust to a new normal. Looking at how you have had to adjust as a trainer in the technical courses, how have you been able to just maneuver and just trying to ensure that you are delivering when it comes to training the trainees?
Now we had to change the life of this the approach, the way we have been doing the old and to change, because we have to reach now these trainees from where they are. So one of them is that we have now to learn how to reach them from where they are.
Yes.
The challenge is yes.
Yes, continue.
Okay, so I'm saying that the challenge has been there because we have to translate from the analog delivery, from delivering in class to delivering to them when they are still there at home. And the challenges have been many. Most of the students may not be having the gadgets. So we have to devise ways of having the materials available through maybe video recording, so that the students can reach that material when they are able to move to where maybe they can get a gadget or where they can get internet.
Yes.
So that delivery has been a little bit challenging. Another area is that, like, when you are teaching a practical, it's not been that easy to translate a practical lesson to a Zoom meeting with the students. So mostly you just demonstrate, and you are not sure whether the student has been able to do the same, because the students may not even have the materials from where they are.
All right. Now, in just trying to keep up with the changing times and adjusting to this new normal, we find that just last year there was so much conversation around, our graduates, given that, our institutions are churning out half-baked graduates because they are not in touch with the industry as such. At school is more of the theory, and given so when it comes to TVET courses, they are hands-on courses. How can we just try to bridge the gap between, what we are taught in schools and the actual industry, such that when the graduates are going out there, they're not just coming out to a whole new world of, just how to operate?
Hello.
That's a challenging area, because you find even when we send our students for attachment,
yes,
because of the economic challenges, most of them would not prefer for that attachment. They want to look for money from other sources, because when they go for attachment, most of the time they have to meet all their needs, they have to meet the accommodation, they have to meet the transport, they have to meet all their upkeep. So you find that they try to evade that attachment, and it is the way they are going to get the hands-on skills. So one of the things maybe this time maybe the government will have to come in, and the industries we are doing attachment in, they see how it can work for the students to be able to be catered for some of those requirements they need to be there. We have other countries which are a little bit ahead, whereby they do attachment when they're in class, and they can connect the two. But now our system, whereby we have to let the learners or the trainees go for the attachment when they are not in class, it has been a little bit challenging to maintain them in that attachment for the 3 months. So sometimes you even go there and you meet that the student or the trainee didn't report, or they reported and then they encountered some challenges and they left the station because they were not able to keep up that requirement so that they can be able to be in that organization for the 3 months. So that has been a little bit a challenge, and I think it's the high time the organizers and the funders of this training went a little further. We have seen them go further, providing quite good materials. They have expanded the training. We have been able to receive a big number of students because now they are able even to access the help loan for them to be in the technical institutions. But now the attachment part is still lacking. Our learners are still not able to maintain themselves there. The industries are not able to meet their requirements, and the parents are not able to meet the requirement for the trainees when they go for that attachment. So there's a big gap which needs to be addressed in that area.
All right. Now, just stay with us. We'll be coming back to just hear, some of your suggestions as a trainer to just see how they can better make you able to deliver on your mandate. But let's get back to Mrs. Gloria Mutungi, who is the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions and also doubles as the chief principal at the Nairobi Technical Training Institution. Good morning and welcome once again.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, just to start by understanding the mandate of the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions here in Kenya.
Yes, as I said earlier, Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions is a professional body that brings all the principals of both private and public institutions together to share their experiences and to advocate for TVET. Association also involves all the trainers, because we organize trainings for management, for our trainers. We organize also activities for our students. So the association encompasses the entire institution. Yeah.
All right. Now, we are in a day where we are just celebrating our teachers, appreciating them and assessing the situation and just trying to see how we can improve how they, when it comes to their delivery and looking at the challenges that, trainers usually face, especially in the TVET sector. What would you have to say in regards to this particular area? And maybe you could point us some few challenges that you feel are vital and need to be addressed.
Thank you so much for that question, because the greatest challenge is where we have, like what you said, the mismatch between the training and the industry requirements.
Okay.
And this one has been addressed by the reforms that have taken place in TVET sector, whereby the curriculum now is being developed in such a way that the industry is involved and the industry says what they require from our trainees. Initially, we were just training for the industry without asking them, what do you require from our trainees? Currently, with the TVET SIDAC, this is the body that is developing curriculum in consultation with the industry and the trainers, so that the curriculum, as it is being prepared from the word go, it is the curriculum that is required by the industry and not what the students just need to learn to the institution and then move to the industry. This is a big milestone that has been done in the TVET sector with the several reforms that have taken place. The greatest is reforming the curriculum, because if you don't give the right curriculum, it means that when they go out there, they'll be said they are half-baked. But the way we are moving with the SIDAC now, it means that the industry will participate in curriculum development. They will state exactly what is required of a trainee when they reach the industry. The other thing is now we have created collaborations between the institutions and the industries so that our trainees are able to be engaged in the industry, like what in Nairobi TTI, Kiambu Institute and DICA they have currently. We have what we are calling the dual training with the GIZ. The trainees are 3 months in the institution and 3 months in the industry. Meaning what? By the time the trainee completes the training in 2.5 years, they will be assimilated fully in the industry.
All right. Now, the students do get an opportunity to just have a taste of what the industry has to offer. But now looking at the trainers themselves, how do we go about improving their knowledge base, their creativity when it comes to the delivery of their services as the trainers? Because we don't get to see them go to the industry or interact with different platforms until they have to just, on an individual level, decide to go and study further. How do we improve their capability as the trainers?
That has been the greatest challenge for our trainers in this country, because once a trainer leaves the college, they don't go back to the industry. Sometimes the students go back to the industry and they're even more informed than the trainers. we are working this with our government, our directorate, so that they will create what we call continuous progression of the trainers. They will have a chance to go to the industry, maybe for 3 months, come back to the institution. At least they will have gained the current trends in the industry, and they will bring back to the training. This has not been happening. It's a great, great challenge for our trainers in this country, both in other sectors and in TVET sector, because once a trainer leaves college, they no longer go back to the industry. And sometimes when the students go for attachment, they come back to college more knowledgeable than the trainers. It's something we are working with the ministry, requesting them to organize. And I want to believe this is the work the KPTC will be doing going forward, where they'll keep on taking the trainers back, updating them through the industry linkages, and we'll have better trainers. Thank you.
Now, looking at, the perception that is in there among the population about TVET courses, most people consider TVET courses, as had been mentioned by our guest, that, just because they didn't go to university, that's why I'm here doing these TVET courses. What can we do to just try and change this misconception and misunderstanding that we have around TVET courses?
This is something we have been working on, and just like my colleague has said, it's changing the attitude, the mindset, because I am a board of COOPs, and in the last year, I saw several students who had attained marks to go to the university, choosing to come to the TVET sector. This is because they have understood once you have a skill, you are a better person in this country, you'll be able even to be assimilated in whatever way, either start your own business or get employment in the industries. This has been traditional, whereby we felt that everybody should go to the university. Remember, our students even used to steal exams so that they can get A's and B's. But once they reach that university, they are not able to deliver. They are, by the first year, they are 50. By the time they finish their fourth year, they are only 20, because majority of them did not even attain those grades in the right way. But what are we telling our trainees? That TVET is a pathway that you can choose, whether you got a D+, whether you got an A, and you can choose a program that is going to add value to yourself. This is a conversation we need from the parents, the trainers, and the country in entirety. Because I think during the colonial times, those who used to go for TVET programs, they used to be believed they are the poorest of the poor. Those who are very rich, they would go for the academic side of it. But now, through the sensitization that has been taking place, through the political goodwill, another thing is funding. TVET education is very expensive. Our trainees could not afford to go and do TVET because it was even cheaper. The university students were being given capitation, they were being given help, but currently the TVET trainees are also getting capitation, that is 30,000 from the government, each student every year, and they are also able to access help, 40,000 maximum for anybody who applies for help. So these are some of the things that we have been able to do so that the trainee who comes to TVET. And remember that last year, over 600 students, they did KCSE. Only 122,000 who went to the university. Where do we take the others more than 500,000? These are the students we are looking forward to joining TVET institutions. And that is why the government needs to invest a lot in TVET through human resource, through equipment, and through quality curriculum.
Absolutely. And given the fact that this pandemic threw the entire state and the world over for that matter into a state of disarray and most of the education system, what are some of those lessons that we are, as a stakeholder in the TVET industry, you are learning and just to adjust with the new normal moving forward to just ensure the delivery, your delivery when it comes to these TVET courses is top notch?
I would say COVID was a blessing in disguise for TVET. Because we have always thought of traditional way of delivering curriculum.
Yes.
With COVID, we have realized that life must move on. Our trainers have been able to be trained how to deliver online training. We have been having several trainings throughout the country organized by CATI and the Ministry of Education through the Directorate of TVET, whereby our trainers have been taken through online delivery. Every institution, as we are talking today, has been able to train their trainers to deliver online, to develop content online, because this is what was not available. In the basic education, immediately we went home, they were able to continue delivering their curriculum online. But for TVET, it was not possible because we have always thought that TVET is practical. Students have to come to college, they must go to the workshops and the labs, but we have realized now we can develop our online content, digitize it, and even have a platform where we can access this knowledge, and every trainer can be able to access that. It is ongoing at KTTC, where we are training our trainers on how to do Google Meet and other ways of delivering the online training. So we are saying that maybe COVID was a blessing in disguise, because we would have remained in our cocoons thinking that we can only deliver practically in the workshops. But now we have realized that our trainers are very good in also online delivery, and the only thing they need to do is to make more practice and to keep on learning how to do it. The challenges are there, yes, like my colleague has said about gadgets, our trainees and even trainers. Some of them don't even have the right gadgets to deliver this online training. We are organizing as institutions to see how we can assist them. But for trainees, we are requesting the parents, at least because they are at home. I was telling them if they would be in college, they would be paying accommodation, they would be buying meals, they would be buying, using transport. Let us use this money to get gadgets for them and help them to get affordable bundles from Safaricom and other providers so that they can attend the online classes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Don't leave us. We'll be coming back to you to just get your closing remarks in regard to this conversation. But going back to Jocelyn, we just want to understand from your point as a trainer, what do you feel needs to be done to empower you more when it comes to your delivery, especially looking at training and the fact that we're moving to a digital era?
Okay. For on my side, what made me working more is I would need more of the training on that delivering the delivering of content using now the other channel, because in college I was trained to go to class and teach.
Yes.
I was trained to go to laboratory and do the practical. But now I have to go to the digital platform and deliver the content from there. It was not part of my curriculum in the college when I was being trained. So as Madam Glory has said, the institutions are making all the efforts. And to me, that is what is meeting my most immediate need for now. I require that impact. I need that training so that I can know how do I deliver the same content, deliver it effectively, and ensure that my learners achieve maximum 100% on now the digital platform, the way I was doing it in class. There's quite a number of things I even need to know. For example, when I deliver on this digital platform, I'm not sure that the learner is with me, because I'm talking, I cannot see this learner. So there's quite a number of measures that the institutions have to put in place so that the learners can remain in class. Another thing is that I want my learners to be prepared for the same. These learners were used to physical attendance in class. Now they are attending my class using a gadget. And these are young people, once they get the gadget, they can get tempted to go to other sites. So there is the likelihood that as I am in class with my learners, assuming I'm moving on with the lesson, my learners are doing something else. So in preparation for this, I also want my learners to be given some what I would call technology education. We've been talking about maybe the learners in high school giving them sex education. Now, I would want the learners now, somebody somewhere to organize for them to get technology education so that they can know how to use this gadget for their benefit, how to control themselves. These are young people. They are online. Messages are going on from their friends, and I'm trying to deliver a concept. So this learner needs to be having some self-discipline, which may not come naturally. So those are some of the areas. As I've been preparing for the digital delivery, my learners should also be prepared to receive my information through the digital platform. Another thing is that now that my learners have the gadgets, I would want to move a little bit higher with my learners. And I think this is the time as Kenyans embrace what is happening outside there. most of the countries, like the other day I was talking with a friend in India who was telling me that they introduce artificial intelligence courses to learners from 7 years. So when a learner gets that phone, they're not thinking about just going to play a game which is already installed. The learner is thinking of how can I develop my own game? How can I develop my own app? So this learner, when they have done those coding courses and all that, they don't look at the phone as only a way to go and just chat with friends. They look at it as a resource which can improve them. If my learners were empowered in that line, it would help me in class because I teach, maybe I'm trying to do a practical. My learner is thinking of how they can do this practical using a different app. So they are thinking, it's opening their thinking capacity. Okay. So those are some of the things I would want put in place as even we continue with this new normal. As my principal, Madam Grole, has said, this COVID-19 pandemic was a blessing in its own way because it has opened our minds. We have seen that life can continue in another different, and I believe we embrace it positively. It's going to take us to another better place than we are.
All right. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, what will be your message to the rest of the trainers and all the teachers as we celebrate this day? Very briefly.
My message to my colleague trainers as we celebrate this day, one thing is that I'll tell them, let's feel proud we are teachers. Let us not feel like we are lesser, maybe in a lesser career because we are teachers. Being a teacher is something to embrace because teachers produce everybody else. Any other career, somebody can venture into in life. It has to be through a teacher. So I'll tell them, my colleagues, let us be happy about it. Let's embrace our career and let us purpose to cause an impact in this. Then the other thing is that as trainers and as teachers, we are the people who drive the new things when it comes to learning. And this time we have to drive the new thing, which is now the online learning. We've been teaching through the other form in class. So this year, as we celebrate the Teachers' Day, I would want to challenge my colleague teachers. We think, what can we do now so that we can drive this new normal in the right direction? Right. Because the way we are going to embrace this, it's going to determine how this thing will be implemented in this country. It is us teachers who are going to implement from the beginning up to the universities. It is teachers who are going to implement this other new way of learning. So the teachers, we have a big way, and we must be open-minded. We must embrace change. We must venture into what can we do so that this thing can come to reality, and then we shall be proud that we were in that time where we were in the transformation. We caused the transition. We were at that time when we transited from the analog teaching to the digital teaching. It's going to be very proud of, and we feel we are part of it.
All right. Thank you very much. Very passionate right there. That is Jocelyn Calvera, who is a trainer at the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology. And we were also speaking with Mrs. Glory Mutungi, who is the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions and also doubles as the chief principal at the Nairobi Technical Training Institute. That is in regards to this particular day, the 5th of October, as we are celebrating a World Teachers' Day. And the theme for this year is teachers leading in crisis, reimagining the future altogether. So once again, let us empower our teachers because they are the channel, the conduit when it comes to the transferring of information to our students in this day and time. That is that in regards to this particular conversation. Sam Njoroge is behind that camera that you are seeing me on. So do let us know how you are enjoying the show. Do talk to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. @Jen Mamboy is my handle across all the socials. Official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Do stay with us. We have so much more coming up after this quick breather.
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m. on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC Online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
And at 11 minutes past 8 a.m., how about we take a look at what is happening on our roads in terms of traffic at this hour. Remember, I had mentioned to you earlier that this morning we'll be looking at Thika Super Highway. So this is how it's looking like. And this is just simply because at least, you know, the bridge that was supposed to be installed and already opened up to the public, this is around Survey area, that has already been done. What you're still waiting for is the one around Garden City and also the one around Mango. The one at Witifie and Survey area have already been installed and opened up to the public. So the two that I've just mentioned, those are the ones that we're still waiting up for. So these are the 4 bridges that had been earmarked along Thika Super Highway, just adding to the 18 that are already in existence. So in terms of traffic, look at how it is doing. Around Survey area, where the latest bridge has been installed, this is just how it's looking like. If you can remember, in the first hour, the road was exactly as it is in terms of heavy kind of traffic, and this has been well indicated by the maroon color there.
only on the inner lane as you are heading over to the city center, leaving the estates along Thika Road, going about the CBD, as well as just leaving the outskirts of Nairobi as you head to the city center. On that inner lane, that is just where traffic is. I wouldn't even say it's building up. I'll just say it's at a standstill, because look at this. Maroon all through, leaving Survey, leaving Allsops roundabout, leaving Drive-In. But also earlier on, there was a minor accident around the Allsops area, or if you may, the Allsops outer ring, the outer ring Thika overpass just next to the Allsops area. So that could be the reason as to why we are witnessing this kind of traffic that we're seeing right now. Heading over to the city center, just, not moving at all. At a standstill there. But this is how it's looking like past Survey area, past Kenya Utalii College again, heading all the way to the CBD. On the other lane, as you are leaving city center, coming to Thika Super Highway and all these estates enjoined, and also past Thika Road, heading all over to the outskirts of Thika Road. On that specific one, no traffic at all, green all through, moving at a really fast pace. So I want us to look at one of those good alternative routes, trying to see if at all it could really serve still as a good route. Remember earlier on I had mentioned to you that I'll be trying to check out some alternative routes, because it was still heavy kind of traffic, and clearly this is just what you're witnessing. But I had also mentioned that there was a minor accident around this area. This is the outer ring Thika overpass, or if you may, the Allsops roundabout. But it looks like it's not that bad on that as you branch off from Thika Road coming to outer ring road. So clearly, if you are which area is this? If you are not yet past the Allsops roundabout and you're coming to the city center using Thika Road, then Outer Ring Road can serve as a very good alternative route this morning, because all through and on both lanes, moving really fast, no traffic at all. This is why you're seeing the green color, and you can branch off to the Juja this is the Juja Outer Ring roundabout, coming all the way to the city center using Juja Road. You can use that as an alternative route if at all you're coming from Thika Road, going to the city center, and you do not want to do the traffic on that highway, because throughout the entire highway it is just heavy kind of traffic, heavy kind of gridlock there. But outer ring is just a smooth sailing there, so that can serve as a very good alternative route. And remember that outer ring is also one major highway, so clearly if you're using Outer Ring Road, then the best place to branch off is Juja Road, because in as much as there's a bit of a gridlock there, at least along Juja Road is not that kind of a heavy traffic, a manageable kind of traffic there. But if you are already past Allsops, then you'll have to do the traffic on around Survey, Utalii, coming all the way to the city center. So again, in the next hour, we shall be trying to look at the next or the other alternative route as it pertains to this road, because I can tell you for sure this morning along Thika Super Highway, it is not good at all. Heavy kind of traffic along this route. But then again, remember that also this morning our focus is specifically on Thika Super Highway.
Hi, thank you so much for being a part of the show this far. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and it's such a fantastic Monday. And one thing that I thank God for is the gift of good co-hosts. I mean, in the course of my career, me too nimebarikiwa na amazing co-hosts through and through. That was Ndorin, as we like to call her, with her link-up segment on what's happening on the roads. But right now, we need to focus on politics, and we invite you to be part and parcel of this conversation. Hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1 at Sam W. Njoroge. Daniel Orogo and Advice Undalo are with me in studio. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Mko salama kabisa?
Yeah. Kabisa.
Advice wewe niliona Keno jana. Advice wewe niliona Keno jana.
I have never
seen advice in a short while. Niambie kama hiyo sura ukuiona mahali kwa clips. But karibu sana, and Daniel, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Apparently BBI is coming back, and the former premier now says within days the report will be ready for your consumption. But weighing into the conversation is Uasin Gishu County Governor. It's been a while since we heard from him. I think the last time we heard from him, alikuwa anasema county yake hakuna kusalamiana. Hakuna kusalamiana. Eldoret hataki hiyo maneno. So now he's come forth and he's saying that those who are proposing for regional governments should honestly brace themselves for retire. They go home once they serve their term and continue serving the country in other capacity. So we'll be looking into that, as well as what exactly is happening with the Jubilee Party. I'd like to begin with you, Daniel.
Well, first of all, I think it's quite could be in order to congratulate.
Don't betray continuity.
To congratulate Kenyans who, raised the Kenyan flag yesterday at the London Marathon. And I know people are much disappointed in wondering what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
After 25 kilometers, things happen, my friend.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Our ears can get blocked. Sometimes we can lose concentration in the race. But all in all, I like to say Eliud Kipchoge is still a champion. Once a legend, you're always a legend. We also saw yesterday the noisy neighbors. We had a good weekend, and Man City. It's good to appreciate that sometimes it doesn't go away all the time.
This is not fair.
So we are appreciating what our brothers did. In the scene yesterday to put the Kenyan flag high, and congratulations are in order. While that is happening, I think you can see that we are having an outrage at Kenol. While others are really struggling to put the country so high. So I really love to condemn what we saw yesterday. 2 lives lost. No one is accounting for the lives. Out of political expediency, people are making statements. And unfortunately, when did we start tear-gassing people in a church and in centers of worship? So when our moral compass is actually going low and low, then I think the country is degenerating to its lowest moment. And really we'll be glad to discuss really where are we headed to as a nation, and if all that we are warranting what we are seeing, and how will it end up as the drumbeats for campaigns for 2022 has just begun.
Yeah. Advice.
I like how Orogo has started from very far. Since it's clear that a part of the people that he really defends this time are in very hot soup. But again, that notwithstanding, I would not go the route of starting from sports all the way to Man City and all those things. I would want to go straight to the Kenol issue. And it's very unfortunate that the lives of young people, well, these are not just other ordinary humans, because these are young people who have a future. These are young people who are supposed to provide for their families and things like that. They had a great future ahead of them. And it's unfortunate that in this country, despite such bizarre happening, it is clouded in the smoke of politics. And right now, instead of really discussing why this happened and what should happen about it, we are discussing who made it happen, and we are making it political, and we are making it look like if one wing of the political divide looks like they're the ones who did it, then the other wing benefits. I think that is the wrong narrative that should be driven in this country. And the president should really wake up and discover that as a country we are degenerating at a very fast pace, and the rate at which we are going towards the south is alarming. He should come out strongly and condemn some of these issues and really call this country back to order, because we have seen in the last week or so the things that have been happening. We saw the storm at the Jubilee headquarters, and you saw the Secretary General, the Jubilee SG, saying there was to be a counter attack from other Kieleweke allied members who are holding a meeting from some hotel. Now, if this would have happened, then the confrontation would have been just dirty. And quickly, we are heading into a very dirty political scenario. And it calls for no one else but the President of the Republic, who took a sword to protect this country. Because the way we are going, we are not heading in the right direction.
Advise, Orogo, both of you can weigh in on this, because what we saw in Kenol yesterday is really unfortunate. But who is to blame? Why haven't we learned our lessons as Kenyans to separate politics from every other thing?
Well, I think I began by saying, that no lives, any life is many, is much to be lost in political conflict. And when we young people rallied around, political violence for any selfish interest or selfish gain, to cause mayhem and to kill a life, I think that is unwarranted as we speak. Now, it is a matter that is in the hands of the investigative authorities. We cannot really authoritatively, say that any wing was, spearhead the process of violent conflict that we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
I think AG Mutiambai has said very well that, for right now, he is singled out into 2 members of parliament. And how I wish that he would, engage more and deeply look at who really financed and who really, organized so that these conflict, took place. But when you see trajectory of how, and that's why I began by looking at the positive things that happened yesterday, because the whole country was geared towards cheering our heroes as they, they crossed the finishing line. But all of a sudden, we started seeing the attention of the country being drawn to tension that was spiraling out in Murang'a Kennel. So actually distracted a segment of people who could really, channel their energies towards, cheering to that is now tension built. But so that as that may be, any wing of political parties, right now, and you asked very well, what is happening to Jubilee? A party that the leader of the party, took an oath and said that he would be spearheading, protecting lives. And President has mentioned very well that one of the 2 legacies apart from the Big 4 agenda is that he wants to be remembered as one who united the country and dealt with corruption. So I don't think, and I'm not speaking in behalf of him, but the head of state would not really be happy, be treated with the pictures that we saw yesterday making headlines, or even today. But one of the things that I keep saying is that the moment you begin to incite violence, regardless of any political wing that you are, I cannot stand on this set and try to justify any political wing that financed, organized, and carried out the violence that made the 2 lives we lost yesterday. And apparently, none has even sent the condolences for the lives lost. People are apologizing for throwing tear gas in church, but not condemning and not asking for the investigation to be expedited for the 2 lives that are lost.
Actually, I like the fact that you bring that in, because online activity was a buzz, and I don't know whether you got to see advice. A certain clip by a certain lady. She was badly injured. She said she's from Kiandutu. She was paid 1,000 Kenya shillings by a certain politician to be in that particular scene. First of all, why ferry people from Thika, Kiandutu all the way to Murang'a? Kwani Murang'a hakuna watu?
In politics, the concept of ferrying people and using people for different reasons will always be there. And people will always be used for whatever reason. And we cannot even know whether the lady was even saying the truth or trying to also spin some kind of information.
Yeah.
But what we can just, you asked about who are we supposed to really blame on this, and Dan put it that he cannot be able to blame whichever side of the divide. But I would want to say that the first person that to me should be blamed for this is the people themselves, because we are the ones who are being used by politicians to spearhead their own selfish agenda. Why would we, especially the young people, put our lives on the line for the sake of people who we have not, who we even don't know? Some of the people who are putting themselves on the line to fight for William Ruto yesterday, they have never met him. They don't know that guy. He doesn't know them. Some of the young people who are putting up their lives in defense of Raila Odinga, in defense of Musalia Mudavadi, some of them, they even have never met these people. And even if they have, those guys don't know them. And therefore, it is basically very wrong that we are developing this culture as a country where people are being used. And we are in the era where at least we can be able to credit and say most of the young people today have seen the four walls of a classroom, and the literacy levels should be a bit higher than the previous time. But then the fact that we are putting ourselves on the forefront to be used for political gain makes us as a people, as a citizenry, the first people that should be blamed for this. And then the second person that should be blamed for this is the executive wing of the government, because the person who was given the sword to protect this country is the President of the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, for any life that is lost in this country, be it under whichever circumstances, then he must be able to come out and really show us that he's in charge of the country, and we are not going to retrogress any further. Because the more we do the politics of Kieleweke, Tanga, ODM, Wiper, and all these things, at the end of the day, the president has a citizenry to protect. And he is in office today.
I could not help but think of the interview he had in France, and he talked about his desire to build a peaceful country, even with his deputy president.
Wow. Yes.
And then on the flip side, back home, this is happening. I mean, who's fooling who here? You know, have we gotten to that point whereby there are some operators who are masquerading to be, handling business on behalf of the president, but getting it all wrong altogether?
No, listen, I really want to be very, very clear on this, Samuel.
Yeah.
Always, on this set, you're always asking a question that I heard that you've asked today. Why are Kenyans not learning? Is a question that you persistently always ask on the set. Now, we are treated with fanfare when it comes to politics. And the young people are the root, of perpetration of violence. We've learned, each and every time you're asking, but why are you forgetting about 2007, 2008?
I know.
Why are you forgetting 2013? Why are you forgetting, 2017? These young people are not listening. So when we are breeding a fodder for politicians to, goons on hire, and, we are feeding men in black, we are glorifying, their conduct. They are available for hire, they are available to, to conduct all these mayhem that we are seeing. I have come to take a back seat. When people are talking about the hustler versus dynasty politics, retrospectively, I have thought about it. And one of the things I'm seeing is that if we are having an existence of a constituency that is not empowered, a constituency of young people,
and they know it,
and they know it,
and they want it to remain like that,
and the young people who have begun to appreciate, that our destiny is doomed, because the only, the godfathers we are looking up to gained wealth through an ill-gotten means. The only way to ascend to decency and ascend to power is by conflict, is by fraud, and is by shortcuts. These are the same people that will be easy for you to access and to go and cause violence in Murang'a. And I'm telling you today, that one of the things that I always see is precedents taking place each and every time. It's barely that, not only in Murang'a that we saw this. What did we see sometimes in Eldoret, in Kisumu? It's not barely even 2 months. These things are happening. A weekend, there was another planned movement called Mulembe Youth. What was going to happen in that camp? So for us, what we are really in this set, and let us really inform the nations that are watching us, and citizens and the young people.
Yeah.
The moment we begin to be available for people to use as a fodder during the political season, then we forget that we belong. We are 70% of this nation, and it's a matter of when. How then do we leverage through this so that, to revive back the country and to be active, constructively active, so that we begin to restore the decency that we want in this nation?
And you know what? High standards protect you, or are supposed to protect you from low quality expectation. And it's sort of sad that we're settling for less. And we'll be getting the insight of advice in just a short while. A managing partner at 2 cents. So we'll be getting his 2 cents on that particular matter. But traditionally, we do take a break at 8:30. So we're due for one, and we'll be back in a moment.
Say all kind of things about you. With them on, just shake up. Need to mush you and done to mush you. When your booty got show me now. Baby, one time, bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180, crazy. Trago ya la botella. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it. Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you. Choro, 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 choro. Get the pago, get the pago, get the pago. Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe. Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya, tekenya katoto.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Please stop for me, please.
Your game is over, you assassin.
I am the one who decides what I should know and what I shouldn't. Only me.
We need this win, Wanjala. You have to win.
They are fearless, yet friendly.
I hope auna machungu after ile game ya mwisho.
I'm allowed to be concerned about you, Wanjala. I'm your wife.
I will take good care of you. Fierce, yet fair.
Pa combo sasa. Pop. Soza kidogo. Pop pop.
Firm, yet faultless.
You embarrassed mom. All of us.
But it would be nice if someone would look out for me too.
You don't listen to me.
Because you always want to tell me how to...
Jemo unadu nini hapa?
You are embarrassing me.
Ina lobi mimi siwezani nayo.
Kona, Kenya's daily drama.
Taina train ya tona muhimu sana kwa life yangu. Kwa hivyo vile mimi nafanya hapa ni upuzi.
Naweza kukusaidia kujua ni akina nani?
Mimi siwezi chukua msaada kutoka kwa Saitani.
What is this?
It's a make or break chance.
Your fun, fabulous, full team of Kona. Every fine weekday, right here on KBC Channel 1.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
The baby you lost wasn't mine. I demand that you tell me the truth.
He said I'm not gonna eat anything unless my son comes here.
I quit. I'm leaving her now.
How could you let this happen? And what kind of a nurse are you anyway?
Then what do you want me to do?
We can't be away from each other since we love each other so strongly.
We need to talk. I really want to know why you lied to me. Huh?
I actually came to say goodbye. I'll be going to Greece.
In love with Ramon.
Welcome.
Embakasi Utawala tuko locked. Ungem Utanyahururu Kasuku Massive.
Jeshi ya Nyeri Coast Maua na Kuru kwa locked mbaya.
Kigumo Ward na ambao wote wako ndani ya KBC Channel 1.
Akulaliki Wednesday bila the ref.
Mbotela Outer Idara Kitengela.
Kiambu County 33 Pipeline Meru anawakilisha.
Rongai Maboksa pale go down. Karatina Outer Mlolongo wana enjoy show. Lare Sub County Outer Githurai 45. Lanet Barracks tuko ndani yake. Okongo Outer Carnation Maragwa Seti Nairobi.
Fika wako locked mbaya sana.
Watu wangu wa Nakuru Ungwaro.
Outer Gilgil live kutoka Mazeras Bahati Massive. Embo Thika Massive. Siaya Shikambi Kakamega Bungoma County.
Kusia Boda
Kisumu City.
Malindi yote iko ndani ya the ref.
When I'm in Kenya, I tune in to the rave. Get your mind brave, focus, conscious.
Kenya,
East Africa.
Right.
Keep it locked.
Calling out to every can.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show this far. We appreciate the interaction online. At Zablon Esikuri, who is watching the show from Spring Valley. And Kipepeo, I have just seen your tweet, and your concerns are valid. Tutashughulikia. Sawa. But in the meantime, keep talking to us at KBC Channel 1 at Sam W. Njoroge. The show is Good Morning Kenya. You're right in time for Eye on Politics, and we've been looking at what exactly happened in Keno over the weekend, and they say it's a very important spot, especially for Kikuyus, because hata ukienda rurashio wapi tunapatananga Keno kwanza. Tuna proceed, but you talk to us and let us know what you think about the show. Tweet in your question. It will be part and parcel of this interaction as we continue delving into political headlines within the country with Advice Mundalo and Daniel Orogo. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. And I'd like to come to you, Advice, in terms of the trip by the president in France and the interview he had while he was there. Politically speaking, what did you make of it?
I think I have not for once doubted the sincerity of the president in terms of his trial and to unite this country. I don't doubt him at all. There is I read a lot of sincerity in him, that this is actually the agenda that he has put forward, and this is what he really wants to do. But what is happening on the ground is just a bit of people just refusing to heed to the call of the president. And that is why in the beginning I said it's time that the president should really take the country into his hands and crack the whip if he really needs to crack the whip, because it is evident that we are simply not heeding to instruction, because the president has told us not to engage in political activities. They are still going on. He has tried as much as possible. These things are still going on. And when you look at it, so I think it's just the people on the ground, mostly his lieutenants, who are just refusing to go by his word. Because again, there is more or less nothing so much he can do, in as much as he's honest about uniting the country. When people choose to go to Kenya and start fighting, you see, he really cannot run and come and grab them or something like that. But I don't doubt his sincerity, but he should just come out and crack the whip. And there's something about, just before we went on break, and both of us were accusing the young generation of being the people who are being used to spearhead some of these things. And I liked when Orogo got so emotional, and when he was talking about the youth who are not being empowered, he got so emotional. I think he was even the reason we went on a break.
Much needed.
Yeah, he needed it. He got so emotional that the youth are not being empowered, and that's why they are out there, they are idle, and that's why they are being used on these things. And that is why we want to dismantle this thing called a hustler narrative, because it's a narrative that continues to put the youths in that same docket. People not being empowered. We need people to get out of that mantra. People get them into serious empowerment. Then once we deconstruct the hustler narrative, once we don't have learned youth on the streets, once we don't have them struggling in what we are calling hustling on the streets, they will not be so gullible to be bought by these things. Because people who really meant empowerment of the young people, like Tom Boyer, organized and took the young people for further studies. That was empowerment. But when we construct this narrative, and the politicians are very good at it, and they don't want young people to become better, because when young people become better, then they lose tools of trade. And that's why they want young people to continue pushing mkokoteni. They want young people to continue selling on the streets. They want young people to continue living in that kind of life.
Wheelbarrows?
Wheelbarrows.
You know they're very expensive in this country.
Only in Bungoma.
Yeah.
So that the time that these guys are looked for and told, guys, I'm giving you 1,000 shillings, let's do this and this, they will be gullible to do it. Why? Because they are not an empowered people. They don't afford that 1,000 shillings. They need to feed their families, and that is why they will fall prey to it. But in as much as there's an economic crunch, I also just expect young people to start being a bit more idealistic, a bit more visionary. We don't need to be gullible all the time just because of financial satisfaction. Sometimes it calls upon us to also just be logical and ensure that we stand by the right things in this society. Because at the end of the day, these people who are misleading us into fighting will leave us in this country and will have this country to build.
And you've noticed today, deliberately, I'm giving you a little bit more time. Last time you complained ati hauongei kwa show. But
kwa sababu nimekaa na watu ya tangatanga.
We always say that you give the devil his due. I think for the purposes of fairness, and I still want to maintain, to be on record and say, you know, if there is any leader or any politician who has got a better option, you know, of providing washing machines and wheelbarrows and all these things that are important, I think they should come forth and also back up, you know, the work that the deputy president is doing. So then as a country, we would appreciate that every leader is trying out of his goodwill or his will to reach out to people who are disadvantaged as young people. We are not saying that that is all. We're just saying it is sometimes it is worth to reach, you know, to meet the needs of a young person who needs that mkokoteni there, you know, in the street or in somewhere else to earn a living. So we are not saying that is all. At least there's something that is in the table being provided. But again, we have a country, the young people who are graduating each and every, you know, the estimations that we're having almost 600,000 graduates from all our tertiary institutions that needs a decent, you know, jobs to do. But as a country, one of the things that we should push for generally is that the Jubilee had got a very robust agenda in terms of absorbing youth who are, you know, are graduating with skill from these institutions and are ready to, you know, compete.
And what happened to the 1 million jobs annually?
In the labor market. So when we begin to question this thing, some of the questioning we are doing is that apportioning blame and asking one politician, but why are you providing wheelbarrows yet the graduates who are outside here, you know? Well, that question is relevant, but I think he's part of the government, and the government involves, you know, all the three branches that we are seeing, or involves the executive, and the head of executive, and civil servants, and people in ministry. So I think this question should be apportioned to the government as a whole. Not only to one person who is always trying to
misleading Kenyans.
As you speak, I'm made to think of what happened to the 1 million jobs. Bede stadia ya water ilisha kutengenezwa
3 months.
3 months. Orogo. I'm coming to you with that question.
I am
waiting for, in all honesty.
Yes.
What is happening here? Who's fooling who?
You know, I really go back and say this for a fact, but Well, I understand questions should be asked.
They should be.
They should be asked very hard questions, and questions that are on public. You know, it's not only us who saw what happened. There were promises about a lot of study. There were promises about the absorption of jobs for those who are graduating, and a number of measures to
that wonderful website.
Yes, and that wonderful website.
Everything laid out.
You know. One of the things I'm saying that there is a failure in the government that the governing those who are governing right now, and this question should be asked to the people who are responsible, from the leader of the party to write down there to an MCA. So the thing is that I am not opposed to asking. All the way to advice seated here.
Yes.
As an advice of the government by that time. But one thing that we are saying is that while somebody is trying to provide an option, and I don't know what has happened to Samuel today. Last Monday, you were really, asking people to appreciate what they get from the Hustler Nation. One of the things that we still insist is that the Hustler is trying to bridge the gap. Can we ask the questions that are remaining to all those who are relevant, who are part and parcel of this coalition, not only to one person as well.
Yeah. But anyway, in the interest of balance, advice, when the deputy president is headed to Kenya or to a church, it's interpreted as politics.
Yeah.
When the former premier is popularizing the BBI, it's not politics.
Yes.
Why the double standards?
It's not a double standard, Sam, because first of all, I think, let me just
clarify.
Be happy with the Rogo things when he says we should blame those governing. That excludes the deputy president. I don't know. So, but then back to your question on BBI and the deputy president moving up and down in churches and every other place. The reason why the BBI is not politics because the BBI is on government agenda. The BBI is something that was gazetted. It is something that was endorsed directly by the president.
Have you seen the document?
No, I'm not talking about the document. I'm talking about the BBI.
The exercise.
As an exercise. This is something that was gazetted. It was given a secretariat. It is something within the confines of the government as per se. And it's one of the president's agenda for this country in uniting the country, just as you quoted in his interview in France. And therefore, BBI is not politics. When the deputy president goes into churches and into on roadsides, the way we saw yesterday in Githurai and whatever, we are seeing him, say that he should be supported to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. That is campaign. That is politics. So that is where it draws the difference. We don't see Raila Odinga moving up and down telling people that he should be president and therefore he's seeking their support. Because politics is about you seeking support to get into certain office and certain establishment. But therefore, that is the difference. The deputy president, everywhere he is going, we are seeing his lieutenants telling people that, you see what, we must get into government. They even have branded T-shirts. They have branded capes. So already
the former premier does not go around the country.
The former premier
does not stop on roadsides.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said the former premier has not gone around the country telling people that he needs to be supported to become president.
Has he behaved in a manner to suggest?
Behaving in a manner to suggest is neither here nor there, because the behavior can be judged as per different personalities. I don't know how you judge the behavior of a campaign. If you're just talking about him stopping and greeting people in Kawangware like he did yesterday, and even when you read his official communication, how did it read? It read, today I stopped by Kawangware to say jambo to the people of Kawangware. Not to ask people for their votes, to tell them that I should be president. Read the communication from the deputy president and read the communication from Raila Odinga. Where both of them are wrong is that both of them are assembling crowds in the midst of a COVID situation, which is against the health standards and the Ministry of Health. That they are both wrong. But when it comes to who is doing politics and who is not, the deputy president is the one doing politics. He has, in fact, told people that he wants to be president. That is what he has gone on saying. He has,
but we've always known that.
He has branded. He has branded merchandise and whatever. So he's outright and he's direct on a campaign on a campaign spree.
But what happened to Kumi yangu na Kumi ya Ruto?
You know, no, advice.
When I'm asked a question, Orogo, you have to let me answer. You know the problem now?
You're always taking too long.
No.
And today we had to be deliberate in giving him ample time.
Good, thank you. When the president said, Kumi yangu na Kumi ya Ruto, that was Uhuru Kenyatta speaking his mind. The country cannot be held at ransom because of Uhuru Kenyatta's opinion. Because we are a democratic society. And therefore we cannot box people into this, starting to imagine that when Ruto is not president, then something must be wrong somewhere. We are a democratic society, and the opinion of the president at the time, which to me was not the opinion of the president, but the opinion of Uhuru Kenyatta, cannot be leveled onto Kenyans as if now, so the next time we'll be having a president and the other president also says, Kumi yangu, Kumi ya Dan Orogo. When he finishes, we again start blaming people if they don't support this particular person. The mandate of giving someone the presidency of this country lies upon the citizens. Those are the people who make you a leader. And therefore, let us not box people into this imagination that just because President Uhuru Kenyatta said, Kumi yangu, Kumi ya William Ruto, therefore we make it unconstitutional for people to even
Orogo
think.
Time, I respond.
Orogo has nothing to say.
You know what, Sam?
Yes.
I keep on telling people with similar thought like advice that the president has not been on the public to denounce that he will never support his deputy. If there is any any media or any news that was covered of him saying that I have receded what I said, then I think that should be brought.
And neither has he said he will endorse Raila.
Neither has he said he will. Thank you.
Exactly.
And he's never said that.
Yes.
Now, when you are asking about the double standards in terms of politics that we've seen, if the Honorable Prime Minister have not said that he's not going to be the president, his lieutenants have said that. Edwin Sifuna has been on the ground saying that he is still young to run for another term. David Murathe said that prepare for Raila's presidency. So all these are pointers towards somebody who is covertly going to run for a political position and is going to be there in the ballot, though he hasn't said that by himself. Now, why are we trying to justify that Building Bridges initiative is not a political agenda? I would say, one, that in the Building Bridges initiative comes a report that is interested to expand an executive position. That is a political position. It's out there and is in the document that there is a proposal for the expansion of the executive, that of introducing a prime minister and two deputies, and trying to bring the bicameral, the House, the National Assembly, to be, to be parliamentary. It is within the proposals of Building Bridges initiative. So then, the proposal, both in its form and its in imagination, requires that a proper mobilization, a proper strategy and a proper campaign towards rallying Kenyans to support it and others to oppose it. It's a political initiative. So I think my senior advice would be advised that all these pronouncements about Building Bridges initiative, the report that is about to come out soon, and then it will hit the road to be campaigned for and to be Kenyans to be rallied. That is a political initiative. Right now, the deputy president has declared, and it's been out in the public, that is running for the president. For now, the only person that is running against is Alfred Mutua. For now.
And Moses Kuria.
And Moses Kuria, who's decided that they are going to run. That is for now. So here is him and having an imaginary, competitors who has not really been...
And Mukisa Kitu.
In Mukisa Kitu, by the way. So I think somebody else, and in the figure, in the shadows of Raila, would come out as a candidate. Or even Uhuru Kenyatta. Who knows? Anybody else would come out. So it is not an advice you forgot when we said that whatever the deputy president is doing is political. And is justified because that is a political game. And as long as... One thing that worries us on the set, what narrative are we using to mobilize the masses? The moment you hit the hustler versus dynasty narrative, It's equated to rallying Kenyans around a philosophy that is pitting the country into halves and is dividing the country. And so all these it reaches a time when now ethnic emotions will be whipped into this. And as we are seeing witness slowly degenerating in Kenol, these are scenes that probably will be treated too. Now, we always ask, what are the roles of institutions? And I've seen there's a press that was done by NCIC yesterday. And I'm not convinced, because there's a lot that has been happening, both Kieleweke and Tangatanga, but the National Cohesion Integration Commission is deemed to be aligned to certain wing, that if the pronouncements that are made specifically by certain wing, the NCIC would act into action. So this is, again, my appeal to the chair of NCIC, Mr. Kobia. One of the things that you actually do is to go back and look at the documentation of NCIC, that those who are in power are easily able to use their power to whip ethnic emotions. And it should be very neutral.
But talking about NCIC, really, I mean, at what point shall we actually get proper value from NCIC? Because Kenyans have been arguing and saying, you know what, maybe this institution is not serving its intended purpose. Advice?
We will only get value from NCIC when the body becomes independent and draws its decisions from its independence. Because what we see, I don't think NCIC was established to do press conferences after altercations of politicians. I think there is a bigger mandate.
Which is what they do.
Which is what they do. I think there is a bigger mandate that they are actually supposed to handle, and not just calling a press conference. After something happens, you call a press conference. I think we didn't need a whole government agency established, give people salaries from January to December, just for the sake of press conferences. I think there is a bigger mandate. But then the problem with this country is that about being politically correct and political correctness, and I agree with Dan when he says it is wrong for NCIC to come out and call upon people perceived to be allied to a certain wing against the other wing. Because definitely the public, you know, the Kenyans are not illiterate. They can be able to see that these people you've called are all from this side. We are not saying you must call people from both sides so that you strike a balance even when you don't need to. But we're just saying in situations where all of us can be able to see like these ones, we really expect them to act more on sobriety and not just to play into the politics. It goes down also to the police service, because when you tear gas a church, honestly, with time when such happenings continue, the republic will be boxed into a situation where they will start feeling like the police is an organized force for a certain political alignment. So these are things that we must be able to ride over and come against them. Because when we continue like that, then we are degenerating so fast, and our structures as a government, the government institutions, they start losing credibility day in, day out. So I think more or less that's what I want to say about the NCIC and what then it has to do. But then when you look at the current happenings, and as Dan has correctly mentioned that the deputy president should be allowed to give whatever he wants to give, because it's an empowerment to a certain league of people, and also saying the BBI is creating positions for people and it's there for politics. I want it to be very straightforward like this. The BBI up to now is not a political process.
It is.
The BBI up to now, the problem is that you don't want to listen, Dan.
Okay,
the BBI up to now is at the stage where it's creating proposals, and those things that Dan is talking about, the creation of a prime minister and 2 deputies, and all those things, those are proposals. They are not, they're just recommendations.
You know what?
Now, some just wait.
The advantage is that we are winding up the show,
and that's why I want to.
I would have probed quite a number of issues. Key among them, did you see what was happening in Bomas?
Let me just be clear on this.
When they were launching the BBI. Did you see the non-verbal cues that were coming from the president, his deputy, and former Premier Raila Odinga? At some point, it became so hostile.
We cannot force the president, the prime minister, and the deputy
and then
to be friends.
When,
we can't force
when
them.
the likes of Moses Kuria were being kicked out of a rally that was supposed to popularize the document.
What was that?
Was that politics?
When you talk without allowing me to answer, you don't make sense.
Because we want to wind up.
Let me make sense.
Advice we want to wind up.
When
because
Moses Kuria,
it has been a pleasure having you on the show.
When Moses Kuria was being thrown out of the BBI.
It's 9 a.m. advice. We are closing the show.
But Sam, you can't ask
Daniel Orogo, thank you for coming.
I thought we
advice. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We'll pick this up from Monday next week, right? Thank you so much for coming. And thank you for watching Eye on Politics. It's the 5th of October. If what Magoha said is anything to go by, universities and tertiary institutions should be back to class today. But is that even a reality? Are we even prepared for it? The discussion is coming up next with yours truly, Samuel Njoroge. So don't go anywhere. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with that conversation.
Excuse me, who is this trying to call me with his gadget? Please, before you call me Professor Ouma, you should have a telecommunicative device. My friend, we professors, we do not walk, we locomote. We do not drive problem boxes, yani probox.
To get Professor, bonyeza star 811 star 759 hash. Dial star 811 star 759 hash.
Welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for being a part of this particular conversations that we are having right here in studio. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and this is the only way to kickstart your morning. That is Good Morning Kenya. Now, days ago, we had the Cabinet Secretary in charge of education, that is Professor Magoha, talk about the 5th of October, this Monday, as the day when tertiary institutions and universities will be resuming learning. But the question begs, are we ready for this yet? Are we risking the COVID curve? And if so, how will the modalities look like moving forward? I've got the Vice Chancellor of the Southeastern Kenya University, that is Professor Geoffrey Muluvi, joining us by way of Zoom. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Good morning, Professor. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Samuel. Yes, I can hear you, Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And I'll just pose the question to you. Are we ready to open our universities and tertiary institutions?
Yes, I can speak about the universities. I can say we are ready to open as directed by the minister. The minister gave directions that the 4 years reports from 5th of October and university senates were to meet and announce the dates when other students were to resume. And the university senates have been doing exactly that over the last few weeks, over the last few days.
And when you talk about us being ready, Professor, what gives you the confidence? What gives you the confidence to say that yes, we can actually resume learning?
For quite some time now, universities have been preparing to reopen. We had already been issued with the guidelines. The Ministry of Education issued COVID-19 requirements, which the universities were to meet before they open. We also have the guidelines from the Ministry of Health, which the universities have been implementing over the last few months. Specifically, we have made sure that we use thermal guns to monitor temperatures, not just for visitors and students entering the university compounds, but in all the buildings within the university. We have also made sure that water is available, running water is available at all entrances of buildings to ensure that students can wash their hands, and also availability of sanitizer across the university, in all the buildings, in the classrooms, in halls of residence, so that the students can continuously sanitize when they are within the university. And we have also addressed the issue of social distancing in the classroom and also in the halls of residence.
I like the fact that you raised the element of social distancing, because that has been a concern. I mean, some lecture halls host thousands of students at a go. So how will social distancing be a reality? And the whole thing about being mobile and students moving to and from the lecture halls, to what extent does that actually present a risk? And you could be out there, a university student, and you'd like to be part and parcel of this conversation. Our online platform is open. Hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1 at Sam W. Njoroge. Let us know whether you are convinced that you will be going back to class, and if so, how will you be employing the guidelines to ensure that we flatten the COVID-19 curve and you do not become a risk population when it comes to COVID-19. So the question that we're asking this morning is, are we ready to reopen our universities and tertiary institutions? Professor, thank you so much for being a part of the show this far. Kindly talk to us about social distancing and how that will be a reality, owing to the fact that some lecture halls can be accommodating thousands of students at a go.
Thank you, Samuel. Social distancing has not been easy, but we have been able to deal with it at the university. We have rearranged our classrooms to ensure that the distance between one desk or one chair to the other, or between one student to the other, is at least 1.5 meters. We have also done social distancing in the halls of residence to ensure that there is no bed or which is near another one, and there is a distance of 1.5 meters between, in case where we have cubicles which have 2 beds. So we have made sure that the social distancing is maintained in the classroom, in the halls of residence. We have also made sure that the students where they queue for services, they at least maintain 1.5 meter distance, and those are properly marked so that the students follow that. We have also put arrangements in place to ensure that we use electronic communications as much as possible, and the students only visit offices when it is absolutely necessary. So we are encouraging electronic communication and most of the questions and issues to be addressed online to minimize interactions. The online teaching will also continue in some cases in big classes where they cannot all of them sit at a go. So we will be able to do blended teaching, both physical teaching and also the online teaching will also continue in some cases. And I'm sure you have seen some universities also announce that. So that's what we have done to ensure that learning continues. And again, we have made sure that the issue of temperature monitoring is done across the university. You enter the university compound, the temperatures are taken. You enter all the university buildings, we have made sure there are thermal guns. In every building you enter, the temperatures are taken. And we have also made sure that sanitizers are everywhere. Before you enter the buildings, inside the classrooms. And we have also made sure that, and we have also made it a requirement that students will be required to wear a mask all the time, properly wear the mask all the time, inside the classroom and outside the classroom.
Professor, let's talk about mobility. You know, the students coming to class and going from class now back home, and the risk factor that presents when it comes to transmission of COVID-19. How are you able to take care of that concern?
I think we have made sure that the guidelines were put in place, and we are also required to ensure they are followed by the students, because we have made it as part of the rules and the regulations governing student behavior within the university, is to ensure that the issue of social distance becomes a rule, that students should ensure all the time they are at least 1.5 meters from the other student. We have also made it a rule that wearing a mask within the university is mandatory. We have also made it a rule that washing your hands and sanitizing is also a new rule, which has been introduced across universities to ensure that we minimize any form of contamination. And we have also activated the universities good enough. Most of them have healthy facilities, and our people have also been trained to make sure that they monitor closely the health of the students, so that in the case of suspected case, then isolations can be done within the university. We have set a facility where the students can be isolated in the case we find there is a problem.
Probably, Prof, I would revisit the question I posed to you. Mobility. As students come to class and they go back home, how are you able to, take care of the risk that mobility presents when it comes to the spread of COVID-19?
You see, within the university compound, we can manage. We are also requesting, like in our case at Iseku, we are requesting, because the greater number of the students stay within the university compound, so that one we can manage. We have also made sure that the vehicles which transport students from the nearby shopping center where they stay, they also respect the requirements which have been put in place for public transportation in some terms of social distancing. So we are engaging the transporters to ensure that when they are carrying the students, they also follow the healthy protocol which has been put in place by the Ministry of Transport to ensure that there is no infection when the students are commuting to the university.
What level of stakeholder engagement has gone into arriving at this decision?
There has been a lot of stakeholder engagement. We have been engaging the local community. We have been engaging the facilities where the students are accommodated outside the university. We have talked to them in terms of also making sure they meet the COVID-19 protocol which has been put in place by the Ministry of Health within the residencies where the students stay outside the university. And then we have also been able to engage the local transporters and also other people providing services to us then outside the campus to ensure that the health protocols are followed outside the university, within the neighboring community, and us at the university, we have also done our part.
Okay, what of the teaching and non-teaching staff? Have they been involved in this particular decision? Have they been consulted?
Yes, as the Senate, we have had many meetings within the university as the Senate to come up with the COVID-19 regulations which will govern the student behavior within the university. We have sensitized all our staff. We have also been sensitizing our students on the mechanisms we have put in place even now. Even when they are at home, we have been reaching them out and communicating with them the new requirements which are put in place, which they will be expected to follow when they come to campus. So we have done a lot of engagement on that.
And what best practices have you been benchmarking on when it comes to arriving at this decision? Maybe you can share with us what some of them are.
I think I personally am lucky because I've attended most of the stakeholder discussions which the minister has been organizing at KICD. and the experts have been talking with us on how to contain the pandemic within the learning institutions. And I think we are taking the best practice on that. We are also looking what is happening elsewhere. And that's why as a universities, we have made sure that we digitize our curriculum so that we have another alternative where it becomes necessary that we can shift to online teaching, can be able to do that. That's one of the best innovations the universities have been able to do so that they minimize the issue of social distancing. And we know that there are some which you can easily achieve, like the wearing of the masks. As a university, most of the universities, including our university, SECU, we have been able to manufacture very high quality sanitizers, which have been approved by Kenyan Bureau of Standards. So the sanitizing within the university will be routine, and there is no limitation to that because we have adequate supplies of sanitizers. The issue of the mask is also not a big issue. Within our Department of Textiles, we have been able to make the 3-ply masks in mass. So we have been able to prepare accordingly.
We're going through the dailies, Professor, and experts now are warning that there could be a second wave of COVID-19 owing to the fact that Kenyans have thrown restrictions through the door, through the window, out. We are not taking care of ourselves at all. Is this in any way a consideration for you as a Vice-Chancellor, as experts continue saying that there could be a second wave of COVID-19 in the country?
As a Vice-Chancellor, my duty is to ensure that the COVID-19 requirements or regulations which have been put in place by the Ministry of Health are followed within the university to avoid what you are calling the second wave. We are confident that with the measures we put in place, it may not happen in our universities because we are fully complied. I think it will only happen where people ignore the regulations which have been put in place by the Ministry of Health. But in the cases where universities and other tertiary institutions follow those guidelines, strictly follow those guidelines, and make sure that the students also do the same, we are confident that that may not happen.
How do you intend to make up for lost time?
We will be able, I think now the focus at the moment is to ensure that we complete the semester which was not completed in terms of making sure the examinations are done. After that, as you recall that we closed in March, and the universities normally go for long session, that is between 15th April to the end of August. So we have lost basically the month of September, 1 month. And we will be able to recover that by organizing for extra hours, and we might be forced to extend the first semester. We might be forced to just the second semester first semester to continue until sometimes in May, so that we don't finish in 15th of April, but you can add 1 month which you have lost. But to us, we believe that you'll be able to recover the lost time. It's not a big problem.
Okay.
Because majority of students were to close between 15th of April and open in the beginning of September.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Geoffrey Muluvi. That is the Vice Chancellor, rather, for the Southeastern Kenya University, giving an assurance that yes, learning can resume with in universities and tertiary institutions. Professor Odhiambo is also joining us from the Meru University of Science and Technology. Professor, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, sir.
Yes, a quick one. Are we ready to resume schools? Are we ready to resume classes in university?
Thank you very much this morning. Once again, good morning, Kenya. I talk for the Meru University of Science and Technology, where I'm the Vice Chancellor. We did close universities on 16th of March, and quickly we migrated all our programs to digital and started preparing to be ready to receive all students whenever the government would allow us to open. And so from 16th of March up to today, we have been working on with the Ministry of Education and Research, the State Department of Education and Research, We've been working with the Ministry of Health. We've been working with our county government that we work with very well. Yes, we have put a lot of protocol requirements that were given, the checklist that were given by our parent ministry, the Ministry of Education, of course, where Professor Magoa is the cabinet secretary. And yes, I can say with a probability of around 95%, giving an error of 5%, that yes, we are ready. Thank you.
And what are some of these guidelines that you've put in place to ensure that students at your institution are safe?
We have, if you come right now to my university at the gate, you'll find that we have put the running water for all students, not only the students, but anybody visiting the university. You have to wash your hand, you have to sanitize yourself. We have put thermogans in all the entries to the universities and also to the classrooms and also to the hostels. We have put running water tanks everywhere, in the classrooms, in the hostels, everywhere. There's the social distance requirement in our accommodation room. All the best, like I've been accommodating about 980 students. Because of the social distance requirement, I've now reduced that to almost 480. So social distance in the accommodation hostels has been observed. The classrooms, where we were initially accommodating our students, we have been given directive in terms of the distance between one desk and another. And if you walk into all my classrooms now, my lecture rooms and laboratories, we have put permanent marker that tells you when you sit here, the next desk will be this and that and that. Yes, and then the signage telling people.
Okay, Professor, I'll be coming to you in just a short while as we try and sort out something with your connection. However, that is Professor Odhiambo. He is the Vice Chancellor for the Meru University of Science and Technology, giving an assurance that yes, learning can resume in that particular institution. However, this is happening in the wake of concerns that have been given by experts, and they are talking about the high likelihood of having a second wave of COVID-19 in the country because restrictions are no longer being adhered to. And the most critical element about this second wave is that these infections now could be, this infection of COVID-19 could be sort of moving to the counties, all right? Remember earlier on when we had our first case in March, a lot was reported in Nairobi and the metropolitan area. However, now concern is being raised that the infections could be moving to the counties. And we don't even want to start talking about infrastructure, health-wise, and whether or not we have the capacity to handle a second wave of COVID-19. Join in this conversation. Talk to us. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1 at Sam W. Njoroge. Let us know whether you feel convinced that learning can resume in our institutions of higher learning. I'm still with Professor Odhiambo, the Vice Chancellor for the Meru University of Science and Technology. Professor, you can hear me now?
Very well, sir.
Thank you so much. So maybe you can carry on with the point you are exhausting around the guidelines that you've put in place to ensure that students at the Meru University of Science and Technology are safe.
Thank you. I think we are ready. We have the hand washing equipment put all over. We have the running water tanks all over all the inlets coming to the universities or all the inlets going to the classrooms and the accommodation places. We've done signage all over the university to tell students, to tell everybody coming to the university, all the stakeholders, that at all times we should be very cautious and very sensitive to the existence of COVID-19. In our classrooms, we have made permanent marks that tells you when you sit here, the next person should sit there. Your desk should sit in such this kind of distance. And very importantly, as our President, His Excellency Uhuru Guy Kenyatta said, this thing also requires personal responsibility. As myself, as a vice chancellor, I have to be conscious of its existence. We have told our students to be conscious. That is a personal responsibility. Whenever they come from where they are living, they have to be conscious. They have to be self-aware that this thing exists, and they have to take precautions so that they do not expose themselves and expose the other people to this possible emergence of the disease. So yes, that's what we are doing. Thank you very much.
And what level of stakeholder engagement has gone into arriving at this decision?
When we closed university on 16th of March this year, I engaged all my staff, all the council members, all the students. I wrote almost 2-3 pages explaining what is happening. And I just put that time is that we just have to coexist with this disease. And so I know the Senate, the Senate is the highest ranking academic in the university, which now truncated to the Dean's Committee, which brings all our schools and faculties, and now which now to departments where all the staff employed in the university to teach, research, and do all the work are involved. So all this have been involved. We did have a meeting with all this and explained the issue. So eventually we agreed we just have to learn how to start. That's when we started now bringing in the idea of digitizing all our program. And I would like to report that among the many universities that have really adopted technology, Mary University is one of the public university that has fully adopted digital technology, so that the students are able to access all their notes, access their lectures, access their cars, and we were almost ready to start doing exams in the technology, but we went slow a bit because we realized that we were about to reopen. So we are ready. We did train lecturers on online teaching. We did train all our students on online learning. By the way, we have done online orientation of all our 1,300. We have also trained all our first years on online learning. We are doing this, knowing very well that there is a possibility from what we have learned from the whole world that can be re-emergence of this disease, and we don't want to be found the way we were found early this year when we did not have a second option. This time, if it comes, we are not going to stop universities. We are simply going to migrate to the online learning. Thank you very much.
All right, and I like the fact that you bring in the concern of a second wave, because now that concern has been shared right here in the country. Experts arguing that if we continue the way we are going, we could see a resurgence of COVID-19 infections, and the curve now, getting to its peak. Is that concern ringing in your mind, Professor?
Yes, this is real. I mean, even before you come here, we know what has happened in the UK, United Kingdom. We know what has happened in France. We know what is happening in the whole world, in South Africa and everywhere, in Israel, everywhere. That this disease disappears and then after some time it comes back again. And that's why we are saying that as Mary University of Science and Technology, now we are much, much brighter in the sense that if now it comes, we are not going to close the university fully. I'll request our council, our Senate, that we simply migrate or we blend our studies so that this time we don't just close the university. If they are going home, they are still continuing, because at least now we have put some bare minimum, bare technical requirements that can actually allow us to continue with the blended or online. Yes, the concern is real and we should not close our eyes on it.
Okay, and how do you intend to make up for lost time?
Didn't get that because you're breaking, sir.
Sorry about that. The question is, how do you intend to make up for lost time?
Thank you very much. By the time we are closing the universities, we had only 4 weeks remaining 3 of which were for teaching and completing the syllabus and doing the final cuts. And then 2 weeks were for doing the final examinations. I'm happy to report that through the online learning that we aggressively endorsed from 16th of March, we have actually covered nearly all the course content that was remaining. What is still lacking right now is some people that had not done cuts. And I'm happy to report to the whole country today, Good Morning Kenya, to tell you that today my final year students are actually reporting to the university so that they can, in the next 2 weeks, they should be able to clear their cuts and then start the exam. This, we have a very detailed course that defines how all other people are going to come. And in first 1 week, they have to clear the cuts that they have not done, submit their assignments, and then be ready to do the exam. That's what we have done. So we have not stopped the last 6 months. We have been doing online teaching, and I think we are actually ready.
Now, mobility being a concern when it comes to the spread of COVID-19, how do you intend to control movement in and out of university in as far as this is concerned?
Thank you very much. This is a real concern, not just for Meru University of Science and Technology. I think it's a concern for all the public universities, for all private universities, for all institutions, for all of us as we go back to our previous normalcy. I think what we have done in Meru University, number one, is to tell students, to tell staff to be very, very aware, take responsibility to make sure that even where they are moving, even in the matatus, they observe social distance. In the university, social distance. And that's why I said earlier on that we have made a very, very, very detailed, we have told students on what to observe. The rules are packed all over the university. Whenever you are in the university, observe social distance. Whenever you are going to classes, laboratory, make to wash your hands, you sanitize yourself. And when you are moving in and out, when you are coming to the gate, make sure that you are actually, you wash your hands, you are also tested. We have put the thermograms all over. But again, when they go to public buses and matatu, they also have to observe this. I did tell you earlier that it is a personal responsibility, that even in the vehicles, when they are parked, you must get into a vehicle where you know that you are going to observe that social distance. You have also to sanitize yourself when you leave that bus and all the rest. These are things that we have done. We are trying to encourage and sensitize all our staff, sensitize all our students. And I'm actually urging all of us as Kenyans that the responsibility start with you. It's not just the president, it's not just the CS, it's not just the vice chancellor, it's not just the student leadership, it's not just the university union, but all of us individually, we have to take this responsibility seriously, even when we are moving in and moving out wherever we are. Thank you.
Should Meru University report a case of COVID-19, God forbid, what will you do?
A good question, which again applies to even KBC. By the way, thank you very much for KBC giving me a chance. The same thing that KBC would do. The first thing I would basically, we have a team. We have protocol teams, we have health team, we have everybody, team committees in the universities. And one of the things they have said that if Odhiambo falls sick with COVID, for example, God forbid, there are protocols that we have put and they are written down, they are all there. I've even tabled them up to our council, I've even given them to the PS Department, University Education and Research, and even the CS. And all of us have, so that tells us when Odhiambo falls sick, first of all, he has to be isolated. We have identified a room as an isolation room within the university where Odhiambo will be taken care of en route to identify hospital. For us, it's Meru Level 5 hospital where Odhiambo will be taken. So that is exactly what will be done. But we are praying, and I am a very faithful person, that Odhiambo is not going to get this COVID-19 so long as he observes the protocol that put on as advised by our Ministry of Education, as advised by Health Ministry, and as we take personal responsibility. We pray that this is not going to happen. Thank you.
All right. We really do pray that that is not going to happen, and the right protocol will be employed. How will you handle the issue around graduations and completing coursework and merging the years to ensure that we are making up for lost time?
Our digital system is set up. We are one of the few public universities that have done online orientation of all the first years. We are one of the few public universities that have gone through ODEL, open distance and e-learning, very successfully. We are ready now to do exams to our final year students after they have completed their coursework in December. It go physical. If it doesn't go, we are ready to do online graduation, which I think some of our public universities and some of our private universities have done with a lot of success. So yes, we are ready. The system is there, and we are actually on discussion with our chancellor that confers the degree that if COVID continues, we'll still have our graduation in December, but it will be online graduation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Maybe you can take a minute and address our stakeholders of the Meru University of Science and Technology app, and including your students. What would you tell them this morning?
Hello?
Yes, Professor. A message to the stakeholders of Meru University of Science and Technology app, and including your students. What would you tell them?
I've lost you. You want me to tell students? I can't get you, sir. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I understand. What message do you have for your students and stakeholders of Meru University of Science and Technology?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to appeal to all our stakeholders of our university, the Meru University of Science and Technology, the university we love so much, to stand up and support this university. We are ready. We have made all the protocols that are required for the university to reopen. We are ready to have our family students starting today to report and they complete the coursework, the class that they had not done, and then start their exams on 15th. We have rolled out a timetable for all other continuing students, and I pray that they look at it and be ready to report. And as I conclude, Kenyans, we will accept the new normal. That things are not to be the same the way they have been.
Yeah.
We are moving to the new normal, which requires that we have to do blended learning, we have to do online learning, we have to do physical learning. And this will require support and understanding from all our stakeholders, especially the parents, the sponsors of my students. And I also appeal to my students to migrate their mindset from the way things used to be done. You don't say that I don't have a computer, I don't have a smartphone.
Yes.
I just have to make sure that we are mentally prepared to adopt this new reality. We can move on with our life as if there is no COVID.
Okay.
That's the message I have for you.
Yes.
I think together we are going to thank you very much.
All right, Professor Odhiambo, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your contribution into this particular conversation. Wish you all the best in both your present and future endeavors.
God bless you and thank you very much.
Asante. So we've been speaking to various vice chancellors of various institutions in this country to just find out whether or not we are ready to reopen our universities and tertiary institutions. And it is coming out clearly that yes, kwa ground, kila kitu iko imara. They have set in the protocol, the guidelines that are going to help you as a student be safe as you resume learning in universities. It has been quite an insightful discussion that has been, and also earlier on we had Eye on Politics, and Jane Wamboi was having a conversation around the World Teachers Day, which is being marked today, and there's actually a story in all of the dailies about how exactly this day will be marked, the concerns we have when it comes to teaching, fraternity and infrastructure in the country. You will find that story highlighted across the dailies, and maybe, just maybe, it could be making its way into bulletins right here at KBC Channel 1. Thank you so much for watching the show. It has been a pleasure. I was just about to say our sign language interpreter was Jane Wamboi, but you know what? On behalf of Jane, Doreen and Ray, thank you so much for watching the show. We'll be right here tomorrow morning for yet another insightful episode of Good Morning Kenya. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Samuel Njoroge. Good morning.
Hurdling events in track and field were popularized in England in the 19th century before the enthusiasts initiated the same in Kenya to some success. One of the early